Hey everyone, this is Brian and welcome to the fourth key, calculating math. This key is very important because you need to be relatively quick and accurate. But don't worry because in this video you're going to learn how to be both quick and accurate in your math. Again, you're watching the fourth key in the 7-part video series. As a reminder, I've created videos that deep dive on each and every key. So let's get started on key number 4, calculating math. In this workshop, you're going to learn 3 topics. First, you'll learn the mistakes and pitfalls that many candidates make, so you'll know what to watch out for as you practice. Second, I'm going to teach you 3 strategies on how to do great in calculating math, so that you're both fast and accurate. And third, you'll learn the exact difference between good versus great, so you'll know precisely how to get a great score, not just a good score. I found that candidates typically make 4 types of mistakes in calculating math. The number 1 mistake candidates make is not finding the shortcut approach to the case math. In other words, they do it the long way, and this leads to having them calculate a lot more numbers, and it basically increases the chances of making errors. That brings me to the second most common mistake, which is making too many errors. A few small errors start adding up, when your competition is not making any of them. Unfortunately, these little details do matter. The third common mistake is not being organized. You're oftentimes given the question, you might get some new numbers, you'll have an exhibit, and then you're actually making math calculations. And these numbers often get mixed in with each other, which again increases the chances of making calculation errors. And then the fourth mistake is not being aware of all the case writer's landmines that they purposely put in the math portion of the case. But don't worry because I'll reveal the most common types of tricks that are embedded in most cases. Now let's talk about the 3 strategies on how to be great at calculating math. And hang tight because we're going to go into great detail on each of these strategies in the next slides. First, you need to know 3 powerful shortcut hacks that will greatly reduce the number of calculations you need to do. Second, you must be organized. You should keep calculations separate from other information. And third, you need to be aware of the common landmines that case writers purposely put in the case to trick you. So let's discuss the first strategy, knowing the 3 powerful shortcut hacks. The first hack is what I call the incremental profit magic formula. And this shortcut can be used whenever you're dealing with a change in mix, and you need to calculate the incremental impact from a change. So for example, if the mix today is A, and the mix in the future will be B, they want you to calculate B minus A. So whenever you find yourself in a situation like this, you can use this hack, which is the fact that incremental profit equals incremental revenue times incremental margin. To see how this can be applied to a case, be sure to check out my Practice Case Interviews with Me program, where I actually show how this cuts your time by a factor of 10x. No joke. The second hack is what I call the B equals MK shortcut. Whenever you have a number in billions, just write B. Millions is M, thousands is K. Then you can basically rearrange these letters in a formula to go a lot quicker. For example, 10m over 2k equals 5k because m over k equals k. Likewise, k times m equals b. It's a very powerful shortcut once you play around with rearranging the b's, the m's, and the k's. So go ahead, play around with multiplying them and dividing them, and you'll see how powerful this hack is. The third hack is what I call the absolute to ratios hack. If you are given absolute numbers in one situation, and you need to calculate absolute numbers in a future situation, you can use ratios to estimate how those original values would increase, decrease, or stay the same. Again, you can see a live example of this in my Practice Case Interviews with Me program. This trick will oftentimes cut the number of calculations and thus the probability of making errors in half. Now, let's discuss the second strategy, which is being organized in your case math. First, you need to write the key math question that you're answering and listen actively for additional math information that will likely be given to you. Write it down quick and ask for clarification if you didn't capture it all. Don't pretend to have gotten it all. Second, many people make the mistake of allowing their calculations to cross over into other information they wrote down. This gets them tripped up, so consider trying your calculations on separate pieces of paper. You can code them in letters like A for one sheet, B for another sheet, which allows you to tie back that calculation to other pieces of paper. Third, do spend some time to think about how to lay out a structure to the problem. Many people make the mistake of getting to calculations quickly without thinking about how to best solve the math problem. When people make this mistake, they often miss the shortcut approach, which could save them a lot of time and reduce their chances of making mistakes. Now let's discuss the last strategy, which is being aware of the 4 common landmines that case writers put in. First, there's what I call the install-based trickery, which stumps almost everybody. Think platforms and accessories. If you're in the business of creating an accessory like a third-party controller for a certain kind of platform, like a Nintendo gaming system, then you need to know the install base of all the Nintendo gaming systems out there, not just the Nintendo system sales in the last year only. Second, oftentimes there will be purposely missing information. You might need to ask for price or cost to start up a business. Again, this differs by case, but know that there's information that you sometimes need to know to ask for. Third, sometimes information needs to be de-averaged. This is another way of simply saying broken down further. For example, if you know there is a basic and a premium segment in the market, and the case interviewer gives you an average cost, then you should know to ask or explore if the cost is different by these 2 segments. And last, you need to always be thinking about how to contextualize the answer you calculate. For example, if you calculate the return on investment percentage, you should determine if that's a good outcome or a bad outcome given the case context and why you think that. So now that you have the 3 strategies of how to be great at calculating math, it's very important that you understand the difference between good versus great performance on this dimension. And one of the best ways to do this is to actually hear and see examples of good versus great math across several different cases. And it's even more powerful if you actually practice alongside me in an interactive way. So that's exactly what I'll talk about next. So now that you've learned how to be great at calculating math, you now need to actually practice being great at calculating math and knowing how to actually pull out those hacks and shortcuts that will seriously cut your time in 1/10. In my Practice Case Interviews with Me program, you're going to get several cases where you'll actually practice the case alongside me. I'm going to give you the case prompts and questions, and you're going to respond just like you would in the real world. Then, we're going to pause after each key, like calculating math, and you're going to see and hear the exact answer. One showing a good performance where I might have taken the long way, and another showing a great performance where I found the shortcut trick. And I'm going to help you objectively score yourself just like a case interviewer would on each of the keys. So at the end of the case, you can see if you'd actually pass the interview in the real world and know exactly the areas you need to focus on to get the offer. With that said, I look forward to seeing you in key number 5, generating ideas.